The fifth point of yoga is actually two things, and we take them together. They're not separate. One is positive thinking, and the other is meditation. And to me, that's something very interesting, because that means that if I want to meditate, it means I should have a little bit positive mind, or I should be working towards that. And so if we want to talk about positive thinking, there are specific techniques within yoga to make the mind a little more positive. But the starting point is always just being able to examine a little bit, to pay attention to your thoughts. And it's not always so easy to do, but the first step can be maybe pay attention to what you expose yourself to. Are there people or situations or things that you read or things that you watch that sort of you can recognize afterward, oh, maybe my mind became a little bit negative. I get a little bit fearful, I worry a little more, or I feel a little more impatient or a little angry. Or you pay attention to the types of feelings that you have throughout the day based on what you were doing and what you were maybe exposed to at that time. So to meditate, in a way, I need to prepare the mind a little bit, which is take a little care with my thoughts. Now, the teaching in yoga is actually that I can choose my thoughts. Not so easy, maybe, but I can actually pick and choose with some practice the things that I want to think. Or I can recognize when I've made a mistake. I can recognize when my thought may be coming a little bit negative. But, and it can be a big challenge today, because we're exposed to a lot of things that maybe are not so positive. I can watch the news, for example, and I can take a lot of negativity from that, and it can be difficult to feel like, what do I do with myself now? I think especially today, more so than at any time, we have so many things that may feel a little hopeless or a little scary. But in order to move forward in life appropriately and to take good action and to be of benefit to other people, it can be helpful to work on my own self, my own thoughts a little bit. So positive thinking, we examine the thoughts, we pay attention a little bit to things like that. And then there are specific techniques where I try to create a little distance between myself and my thoughts. I say, okay, let the thoughts happen, but they don't define who I am. So it's quite a subtle practice, actually. And once a little bit of that preparation is there, then it becomes easier to meditate. So then I can go to the meditation practice, and sitting down and just being silent and with yourself is quite a challenging thing, actually. So, but if I've prepared the mind a little bit, then it becomes easier to sort of sit with things. So when I sit, for example, to meditate, it can be in that moment that lots of thoughts come, even more thoughts come that time, or the negative thoughts come. And I can just observe them. Just like I would observe somebody else and their behavior, I can observe my own thoughts and say, okay, let it be. Let those thoughts pass through, but let me not attach to them too much. So we tend to think, actually, we place a lot of emphasis on our thinking principle in life. We think, I have these thoughts, I have these profound thoughts, and they define who I am. But yoga teaches us actually that the thoughts are just a kind of aspect of the mind. My mind is composed of just a jumble of thoughts all put together. So imagine like a ball of yarn. I take all these various thoughts that I have and I wrap them up together, and I wind up with like a ball of yarn, maybe tightly wrapped. And these are my thoughts, but if I unravel that ball a little bit, then I see there's nothing left there, actually. So the mind is kind of, it's not really real, it's just a collection of the thoughts. And so with a little practice and care chosen with the thoughts, and maybe it starts with the things that I expose myself to, I can choose more positive thoughts. And so I'm changing, in a way, the environment of the mind, the climate of the mind. I'm becoming a little more peaceful. Which means that when the mind is a little more peaceful, it's easier for me to make decisions, it's easier to go forward in life in a positive way, it's easier to be more beneficial to other people, and it's easier to realize, to ask the big questions. The big questions are always like, who am I, and what am I doing, and what do I want to do in this life? So the two processes go hand in hand, meditation and positive thinking, but they do bring us to a place where we can more easily look at ourselves and ask those big questions. And I think anyone coming to yoga today, we're already asking those questions a little bit. If you're even a little interested in yoga, it means you're already thinking, like, who am I? And that's an excellent starting point for the practices.